Now, the American president is making headlines, but this time round it is his remarks using borderline profane language that's in fact making the waves. You need to hear it to know the kind of language that the American president has used. On Tuesday night, Donald Trump addressed a National Republican Congressional Committee dinner. Now, Republican lawmakers and invited supporters were in attendance. During his speech, Donald Trump said that foreign leaders from around the world are essentially groveling to avoid the new tariffs. Listening to the language used by the President of the United States.
Our country, and don't let some of these politicians go around saying, you know, because I'm telling you, these countries are calling us up, kissing. They are dying to make a deal. Please, please, sir, make a deal. I'll do anything. I'll do anything, sir. And then I'll see some rebel Republican, you know, some guy that wants to grandstand, say, I think that Congress should take over negotiations. Let me tell you, you don't negotiate like I negotiate.
The reality star president of the United States. Now, the White House has said that nearly about 70 countries have reached out to negotiate the tariff rates. The White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt claims that deals will be made if they benefit American workers and also address the chronic trade deficits that the Americans have. But not everyone is taking the negotiation route alone. Just a short while back, the European Union's Commission announced retaliatory tariffs on the United States. The bloc said that it will impose the first countermeasures against the United States tariffs on the 15th of April. And this decision comes on the heels of a heated tariff war that is underway between the United States and China. The United States has imposed a staggering 104% tariff on imports from China, marking the sharpest escalation yet in President Trump's global trade offensive. Now, China, of course, has retaliated with 50% tariffs on U.S. goods, adding to the earlier 34% duties. This takes the total Chinese tariffs on U.S. goods to about 84%. And as with any crisis, there is a silver lining, especially for countries that are facing lower tariffs and trade deficits with the United States. Countries such as Brazil, Egypt and Turkey are facing tariffs of about 10%, and they could see some export opportunities, especially in agriculture and textiles. Now, India, despite a 26% tariff, is exploring possible gains in manufacturing. Meanwhile, Vietnam and Bangladesh are absorbing the stiff blows with duties of 37% and 46% respectively. Now, analysts have warned the broader risk remains a tariff-led global slowdown, hurting both the emerging markets and the United States itself. While many are worried about the markets and also the economic uncertainty, the American president has just moments ago shared a post on social media telling everyone to be cool, but he himself has unleashed this trade war. Now, Dr. Jayant Menon is a visiting senior fellow at the Institute of South Asian Studies, and he's joining us live on this broadcast from Jakarta. Dr. Menon, thank you very much indeed, sir, for taking your time out and speaking to us here on WION. Now, we've all heard the language that the American president has in fact used when he's talking about how world leaders are calling him up and wanting to negotiate a deal with the United States of America. In your assessment, you know, what message does Donald Trump send out by using the kind of language that he's using? He's, of course, addressing his domestic audience, but that is not going to be lost on the world leaders who are listening to every word that the American president says.
Yeah, hi. First of all, I guess I'm from the Institute of Southeast Asian Studies. South Asian Studies is our neighbor institute here in Singapore.
Right.
But happy to be with you. I guess, you know, this kind of language from President Trump is something we've got used to by now. And I think most diplomats and politicians around the world know him, know his New Yorker style. I think we have to look at what exactly he's doing and actually saying, despite the colorful language. And I think, you know, we have to look at the damage that's being done with these unnecessary punitive tariffs being raised on all countries based on a formula that would normally be laughed at even by a first-year economics student.
Right.
This is not the way to conduct trade policy.
You know, Donald Trump almost seems to assume that economy is a zero-sum game. If the United States were to gain, then the other competitors were to lose. But the fact of the matter is, these tariffs had been put in place over years of negotiations, and these tariffs had also benefited the United States of America despite the trade deficit that they had run into. But unleashing so much uncertainty and unleashing this trade war, especially targeted towards China, because a lot of analysts and economists are saying that this trade war is to try and break the momentum of the Chinese economy, which looks like it would overtake the American economy. Do you think Donald Trump even understands the trade war that he's unleashed, not just on the people of the world, but on the American people who are his ardent supporters?
Yeah, I wouldn't want to try and guess at what he understands and doesn't understand. I don't think he's got all the concepts down pat. I think there's a lot of confusion about how tariffs work, who pays the tariffs, and what they can or cannot achieve. But I want to say that, you know, this started off as the great competition between US and China, the trade war. But now Trump 2.0 has expanded it to a global trade war, you know, taxing everyone and looking to reshore activities, almost all activities, back to the US. And he seems to have this idea that the US has been cheated out of trade by almost everyone.
Right.
I don't understand where he gets that from, but it's more than just China now.
Interesting. Now, the European Union Commission has also said that on the 15th of April, it will be imposing its own set of tariffs on the United States. In the world order that emerged after the Second World War, Europe was the United States of America's very close ally. But looking at the manner in which Donald Trump has dealt with Europe, is there a real possibility that Europe may now gravitate more towards an orbit around China?
I think that's a very real possibility, and you cannot blame them if they pursue that path. As you say, there has been a very long history of close relations, and now it seems that none of that matters anymore. President Trump has taken a particular dislike to Europe, not just on the economic front now, but also when it comes to security issues. He thinks they're not paying their way and all that. So Europe, I think, will be looking to garner its own relations, to strengthen its trade ties with other countries. China is the world's largest trading nation, and there's a lot to be gained to both parties, right, if they strengthen that relationship.
Interesting. We'll have to see as to how all of this plays out. Thank you very much indeed, Dr. Jayant Menon, for joining us and getting us that perspective there.
Thank you for having me.